You're here with Brandon and Jeff, and here we go with the Blurs podcast. You'll love it, I swear.
Get your films on with the Blurs.
Once an idea has taken hold of the brain, it's almost impossible to eradicate.
Unpacking movies has never been more spot on, woke, fire, and just plain lit.
They are lit all the time.
So if you're unsure whether or not to plop down some cash for a film, check out the Blurs.
When a man with a 45 meets a man with a rifle, the man with a pistol is a dead man.
Brondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolyte.
You really only need to hang mean bastards. But mean bastards, you need to hang.
Don't say you weren't warned. Ridiculous. Here's Brandon and Jeff.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode 30 of the Film Blurs. I'm Brandon Norwood, aka Hero Protagonist, aka the true father of Joe's kids, aka
The Lethal Protector,
aka Papi Chulo, aka Rough McGruff, aka B-Wood the Magnificent. And I'm joined by
Jeff Stewart, aka Uncle Jeffrey, aka a Revengeman Button, aka To Be Determined. And this is Dirty 30. Jesus Christ.
We made it.
Time fucking flies.
Let's get into what they announced last week. I'm pretty excited for this because the second one was actually good. Magic Mike's Last Dance. Steven Soderbergh's coming back to do this one after he just was the DP on the second one. He stepped away from directing.
I've actually never seen the Magic Mike movies. Like, everyone keeps on telling me this how great they are, and I want to sit down and watch them. It's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, all right, next weekend I'll watch it, or like next week, or whatever. Like,
no, I get it. And you know, we're not the target audience for this, right?
We're not the core demo.
Yeah, we're not the core demo. Like, but they're still good movies. You know what I mean? This is a HBO Max exclusive. It's kind of weird since these movies make money.
I don't know. Maybe they're trying to rescue HBO Max or some shit like that. I have no idea.
Also, I guarantee you this ain't gonna be the last one. You're like, come on, man.
I mean, come on. I mean, like, will probably be spin-offs.
Oh yeah,
and a road trip movie or two.
Oh, they already did the road trip.
Oh, they already did the road trip movie.
That's
okay,
double XL.
All right, so yeah, there's plenty of ways to go. I mean, Magic Mike could end up being the Fast and the Furious of the male stripper world.
Yeah, so let's get into our next bit of news, which is Kevin Feige said Charlie Cox is going to be Daredevil, and when he returns, it'll be significant.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it at that. We'll just leave it at that.
Leave it up to your imagination.
Yeah.
So,
we'll move on.
You know what's happening in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So let's go to House Party reboot,
which is crazy.
Right? I did not know this was happening. My only thing that gives me pause about this, because I love House Party, is just LeBron's doing it.
I mean, LeBron did do, the Space Jam, but he was beholden to like that IP, like that kiddie movie shit. Maybe he's wild. Maybe he's gonna go crazy with this fucking one and give us a hard R comedy.
I hope so, man. Like, I think House Party is prime for a reboot. If any, I don't think anything and everything needs a reboot, but if anything needs a reboot, it's this. Like, times have changed since Kid and Play. Like,
right. And I tried watching House Party a couple of weeks ago, and it's hilarious, but mad problematic.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like, just like everything in the '90s, it's a train wreck. It's horrible, and you would never get away with any of that shit today.
Oh, no. All right, so let's get into our last bit of news. Sorry we're moving fast, guys, but we have a screening to go to.
But we are going to leave you with something special today.
Oh, yeah. Well, that will be in the middle of the show.
Okay.
So let's get to Father of the Bride remake. Chloe Fineman, she's hilarious. She's on SNL. She's an SNL cast member.
She's like one of the new ones, right?
Yeah, she's been on there for a couple of years.
Chloe
Fineman.
Okay, Chloe Fineman. Yep, you're right.
She's hilarious. Like this, the current cast of SNL is just like a murderer's row of just killers, and I'm just like, Lorne like really did his work, man.
But here's if you want to get into SNL, we can. It's hit or miss this season.
I mean, that's every SNL season. Like, you know what I mean? You got hitters and then you got stinkers.
Right.
It's the cast that can make or break it.
Yeah, and like this cast is dime tight.
Yeah. So Chloe Fineman's doing Father of the Bride for Warner Brothers. Andy Garcia is the father.
Fuck it, why not? Let's do it. Let's do it, baby.
I feel bad for Steve Martin because he tried for the longest time to get a Father of the Bride Part 3, and it just never materialized. So,
well, I mean, he's riding high off that Only Murder in the Building success. So, I mean, I mean, he's moving on to bigger and better things.
I know people are probably saying another Father of the Bride, but I think Father of the Bride is one that can be done over and over just because the story's so timeless, and there's times change, and what's found funny now might be different back then. You know what I'm saying? Right. So like in 20 years, if somebody else did it, I'd be like, yeah, because we could find other ways to make this funny. So before we get into what have you watched lately, we are going to give you a interview with my friend, Terrance Aybar. He worked as a set dresser on West Side Story and on Sex and the City. We're going to let him talk.
Right. It's an amazing interview.
It is. Here we go.
All right. Hello. Welcome to this special interview portion of this episode of the Film Blurs. Me and Jeff are joined by Terrance. Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Hey guys, Terrance Aybar, set dresser on West Side Story and other various productions.
All right, well, let's get right into it. Terrance, I've known you for like 10 years now.
About that.
Yeah, maybe it's.
You figure whenever Get the Gringo came out, that's where you based that from.
Yeah.
Wait. Wasn't that the Mel Gibson?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, you set dressed that?
No, the way that me and him met, we were both online for a screening of it. And,
okay, gotcha.
I see this dude behind me, and I just started chatting him up. And ever since then, I just realized dude knew his movies and film, and I appreciate that. So we just became fast friends, and ever since then, we've been tight. It's been cool.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, I'm sorry you had to go see that movie to foster your friendship, but I
don't think it was that bad. I'm actually kind of liking it.
It wasn't like I'll say this, and I'm probably gonna get canceled for this. As racist and as problematic as Mel Gibson is, I still fuck with his movies.
Yeah, same here, man. I'm a Mel Gibson apologist.
right.
I'm like Lethal Weapon 5. Give me that shit. Sign me up.
Like, you can call me sugar tits all he wants, man. Just keep on pumping out that shit.
So, Terrance, we want to talk about your experiences on not only West Side Story, but eventually Sex and the City, too. But most of this is going to be West Side Story just because you got to work with Spielberg, dude.
I got to work with the beard, man.
First off, I think we owe the people a little explanation. Tell us, what does a set dresser do and how does it impact the overall production?
Well, set dressers basically are there to make what the set designer wants to happen. So if the set designer has it that they have a living room set up a certain way, we're the one that gets everything in place to where they need it to be. And there's a bit of construction involved. It's like we're using power tools, doing all this crap, and it's a lot more involved than you might think. There's a lot of definitely lifting, and there's a lot of moving furniture around. Sometimes we feel like glorified movers, but it's kind of cool because sometimes we do get to we get afforded a little bit of creativity, on our end, so we could do a little, fix things up the way we want to, and all it takes is a little bit of approval, and it works out.
So, what's an example of that little bit of creativity you get to add, like on this movie or on any other movie, like something you're kind of proud of?
All right, for instance, not that this is necessarily something I like toot my horn about, but it was like one of the first jobs I worked on was that show New Amsterdam, and we were dressing up a nightclub that had been blown up, and this was like at post-explosion. So I figured to myself, I went to the designer and I said, so where does the bomb blow up from? And she pointed out on the set where it went off. So standing from there, I was able to figure, let me throw the debris outward from this direction. That way it looks properly. A lot of people think that being a set dresser is making the set look as pristine as possible. But sometimes if you have like a setup where everything just looks too neat, it doesn't look genuine. You want a post-bombed out club to look fucked up, not have neat piles of like plaster and ceiling tile and like piles like every 8 feet. It's like you got to just be random.
Right.
And that's kind of cool. It's like you just do it the way you think it should be.
So how did you get into the game? How did you become a set dresser?
Well, I was a PA on and off for about 11 years. Like I started back in like I want to say 2007, 2008. Left the business for about 5 years in the middle of those like 7 or 8 years, and when I came back, I figured, you know what, man, if I'm going to be back in this game, I want to make moves. I want to, start moving up. And then sure enough, I found myself driving around set decorators and designers and shoppers, and they recommended to me that I join the union. And from there, now I'm going on 3 years that I've been working on the set dress design on the union.
All right. Well, specifically, we want to know West Side Story is major, man, and congratulations on landing that
Oh, thank
first.
you very much, man.
And
It's,
like,
awesome.
it's like nowhere to go but down from here, dude.
First off, before we get into the making of it, you got to see it at a cast screening, or was it a crew screening?
There was a casting there. There was some cast there. It wasn't the major cast and crew screening they had the other day, but it was like, it was mainly cast and crew that were there.
Okay. Tell us what you thought about the movie. Where'd you see it at?
I saw it at the SVA theater on 23rd between 8th and 9th.
Okay, so we saw it at the same place then.
Yeah. So I thought the presentation was pretty good. They've definitely fixed it up in the past decade or so.
Definitely. What'd you think, man?
I thought it was fantastic, man. It was shot just the way that I thought it was gonna look when I was looking at the dailies and stuff on the monitor. It was just, what Janusz Kaminski did with that movie was fantastic. That movie looks exactly like I thought it would. It looks like a war movie almost. It reminded me a lot of Saving Private Ryan, the way it had that kind of washed out, bleached out look. And I thought it fit the period well. Definitely looked like a late 50s, early 60s era.
Yeah.
And the cast was amazing. There were parts, it's crazy that I was there to see these scenes, some of these, and those really big emotional scenes, I got choked up, even though I already knew what was coming. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
and I have to give the actors a ton of credit. And I was very happy with it, man. I thought it was beautiful. And I'm so honored to have been a part of that. I can't even express it. I'm going to try to, but I'm gonna make that happen. I'm gonna express how grateful I am.
Well, all three of us are minorities. All three of us love this movie. You, Terrance, are a Hispanic man. How did it feel to watch this movie, in particular, like the race relations? And then on top of that, we have this movie is 40% in Spanish with no subtitles, which I think is pretty great.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned the no subtitles thing, because that was the first thing I said after the movie. I said, for some reason, I was like, I love the fact that they left the Spanish unsubtitled. There's just something about the way it's delivered that I know that people that don't know Spanish will understand. There's just something about the way the Spanish is delivered that you can just feel what they're saying. It doesn't need the subtitle.
Absolutely.
I don't think they need to pander to the audience to that.
The emotional resonance is there in the performance. And
yeah. And, a lot of people were very, what's the word I'm looking for? Reluctant to like the idea of remaking this film. And they're like, what are they going to do with it? But being that I was there watching the film being made, like I saw that they were kind of going in a harder direction with all the race stuff. And it was like a little harder than the original film. So that's one of the things that I really appreciated about the film as well. Like I thought that they kind of didn't pull any punches with that stuff,
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely Race War the movie. Yeah, and
I was surprised how many slurs they had.
Oh yeah, dude. That's what I'm saying. That shit felt real. You asked me how I felt about that as a minority. That shit was real. What I was watching on that screen.
All right,
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me tell you something. Actually, I'll give you a little story right now, real quick.
Sure.
That scene where at the beginning, where they have the brawl, and then the Puerto Ricans walk away singing. Yo, the neighborhood was just quiet. Just these people were singing, and it was just like echoing through the streets. And when they were done, like everybody was leaning out their windows and cheering, dude. That shit was like real. It was a real moment, dude.
Were you able to film any of that on your phone, or?
I got some stuff that I little shorts and little clips that I made because in the beginning I really wasn't supposed to be recording stuff, I was like taking pictures and shit.
Right.
But then after like a couple weeks I got a like allowed to photograph badge. So I managed to get like a bunch of pictures and stuff. But that's stuff that I got to be respectful and not share any of that stuff until the film is released,
Right.
Even maybe well after.
How locked up tight is a Spielberg set?
Oh man, at
Like,
times it was the paparazzi got a little bit crazy. Like we had to continually put up tarp in some sets. Okay, perfect example. When Anton is singing Maria, and he was walking through that outdoor basketball court. We had to keep climbing up on ladders and putting up tarp over the fence so the paparazzi couldn't shoot into the court.
Jesus.
Yeah, and all the classic paparazzi were there. Steve Sands. I don't know if you've ever heard of this dude, but he like stays getting beat up on set and shit. This guy, but he showed up, and once he shows up, it's like okay, all the paparazzi know.
Man, tell us, how was the overall experience on making West Side Story?
The first thing that I was struck by was the professionalism and the efficiency of this crew. I was working with the fucking top A-list crew, and there was no doubt about it. And everything went smoothly. And like if like schedules had to change, like that stuff did not hitch up the production at all. Like they were just able to like have contingency plans for everything, and it just like it went so smoothly. And it's like I've been on other jobs. I'm gonna keep names out of it, but I've been on other jobs that have been total shit shows, and they were much smaller than this job. So it was like basically just to see a job of this scale run so smoothly was like testament to just the professionalism of this crew.
Well, are there any stories you have to share? I'm pretty sure you got like some unique stories besides the one you already told us.
Oh, for sure, man. I gotta think for a second. I was thinking about what I would tell you of that stuff, and now I'm drawing a blank. I think because I already thought about it. Let me see. Let me see.
Before we get into working with Spielberg, how was it working with his cinematographer?
Oh, with Giannis?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that man is a psycho. I gotta tell you, I'm just gonna be straight. That man is a psychopath, but he's a genius. That man is just like watching him, like just listening to him give the crew directions, like as to how to light the scenes. You just knew you were just watching a master in action. It was insane. And he was a trip because like there were days like when they were doing a setup, that like a changeover or something that was taking particularly long, he would just start blasting I Got Five on it on the speakers and shit. Like, yeah, dude, he was playing gangster rap and just sitting there just kind of looking hard at people, like grilling them and shit. And then it's like that's how, and the funny thing is that now that I'm mentioning that's how I met him. Like I would pass by his chair and I would look at him and he would just stay like grilling me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay. And then like after the second or third time, I'm like grilling him back. And I was like, yo, what's up, man? And then he was like, nah, you're okay. I see how it is. You're just talking shit to me. And then like he just got really used to me and comfortable. And it's like I would hear him, oh, okay, like that set in Patterson, at the beginning, all the broken down buildings where the jets were hanging out.
Right.
Like he would be yelling at me like from across that whole space, just like Terrance, you motherfucker, and just like that. He was crazy. I'm telling you, man. But at one point, he came over to me and he said to me, I just want to make sure that you're not like offended by anything, and I talk to you like this and I treat you like this because I feel that you're part of the crew. So I hope that it's okay. And then I was like, it's absolutely okay. So it was cool.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. I feel the love right there.
Yeah.
He was a trip, man. Everybody loved him. He was just that dude that he would say whatever, and nobody would like. Everybody just knew that's who he was. You know what I'm saying? Somehow he still managed to survive in this era of political correctness.
He's from Poland, but that sounds hella New York. That's New York as shit.
Oh hell yeah, dude. Yeah, I got a picture of him just standing there in New Jersey wearing a tutu, the ballet thing.
Right.
Really shit, just grilling people. That was his thing. Whatever he would do, he was grilling you.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's some prison shit right there.
Yeah, dude, it was a trip, man. I'm telling you. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, man, I saw Spike Lee was on set one day. He showed up. That was interesting, like the celebrities that showed up. He showed up. Laura Dern showed up. At one point, I was watching them film America, and I looked to my right, and Mark Rylance was literally like his chin was almost on my shoulder, and I'm looking at him, and he looks at me, and we just started cracking up. And I immediately told him, I was like, yo, when I saw Bridge of Spies, me and my wife said you were going to win the Oscar for that. And he was like, no way. And then he just, he appreciated that. I met a lot of really nice people on that. Tony Kushner, the writer, the screenwriter, he was fantastic. And I got to tell him that I appreciated Munich, and like when I told him that, dude, I think he like really appreciated it. Something tells me that he got a lot of grief over that movie. You know what I'm saying? I know they got a lot of shit over that movie, and I think he really dug that I appreciated the movie. You know what I mean?
That's sad, man, because that's one of Spielberg's best movies, hands down.
Hell yeah, I'd put that up there at nearest
Oh
top
yeah.
for sure. And what was also cool, I think I mentioned this to you the other day, on the last day of shooting, like after the martini, the last shot, Tony runs over to me and he gives me his shirt, and it's a long sleeve, and on the front of it, it had the notes, the whistle that the gang does at the beginning.
Right.
You hear it in the trailer. It was
Yeah.
those notes, and then in the back it said the shooting dates, and he only had like 15 of those things made.
Oh shit.
So he,
Oh, shit.
because me and him stayed cool throughout the whole thing, just talking about movies and shit. So
That's
he was just a
that's
regular guy, and it was nice. It's nice that his success hasn't gotten to him where he's not afraid to talk to the little people.
I think that's awesome that everybody's love of movies is what got us here. Like me and Jeff, we connect on movies.
Yeah.
That's how we became fast friends. That's how I became friends with you, Terrance. It's just our love of movies.
Absolutely.
It's amazing what a movie can do to a person's life.
And that's why I always say movies are fucking magic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This working on this movie definitely changed my life, man. It was an experience that, like, you gotta understand, man. We finished shooting. We wrapped 2.5 years ago, and this entire time, I had almost convinced myself that I wasn't gonna get a credit or anything. Like, it was just gonna be like, I was just gonna be that dude who worked on it and that got it uncredited or whatever. And then, like, to finally see it after 2.5 years of waiting, kind of like in the back of my mind, and it just that shit was just crazy. It was I got choked up. It was and I was next to like I was listed as an on-set dresser, and usually there's only 2 on-set dressers on any given production, but on this one they had 3, and I was the third. So I was like a kind of exception to the rule, I guess, and that's kind of awesome.
How does it
That's
feel?
Giannis right there.
Yeah, how does it feel, man, to see your name immortalized in end credits? On set dresser, Terrance Aybar.
I mean, the other 2 guys that I was working with, Travis Wright and Jamel Daniels, are like 2 of the best in the business. Actually, Travis is considered like the best on-set feature dresser in the business. So, working with him was actually, I got to learn a lot working with him and watching him, how he did things. And the fact that I was listed alongside him was just like, it's pretty dope.
What's your favorite scene in West Side Story? Like the favorite thing you did?
Let's see. Maybe like the big fight in the salt shack was pretty cool, because that was like wild. We were shooting like all night. Like they didn't stop shooting until the sun came up, basically. Like a lot of that salt, like we had to put in place, and it was just a pretty wild environment to be in. Like it was all the way at the end of Steiner Studios by the water. I remember they had I think a Ben and Jerry's truck show up. No, not Ben and Jerry's. It was like Milk Bar or something. They had them show up, and that was kind of cool about that production. They would have like Shake Shack shit, and like they would just show up, and just like would get free shit. So that was kind of nice. But I think that stretch of it was pretty cool. And then also when they were doing America was pretty dope, because it was just another one of those moments where everybody was hanging out of their windows and like clapping every time they would finish like a take or a dance or a moment. It was that was pretty wild, because you could just feel the energy in the air. Like people were really excited about it.
I mean,
and that's why I knew this movie was gonna come out the way it did, which I'm glad.
Yeah, I'm glad. I think we are all pretty floored by it. Like I'm glad that energy that you see on screen has been captured in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, when we first saw the trailer for it, we're like, all right, that's cool, but why? Like, why are we doing this, right? Then we see the movie, and it's like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah,
I
it
get
feels
why
more
this had to be
updated, right? It feels like it's a more updated version, basically.
Right, like I get why this needed to be remade.
I'll tell you, dude, it's like it's just wild for me, because this is a film, right? That, like I said earlier, I was there for like about 95% of that film. There were maybe 1 or 2 sequences that I wasn't there for. One of them was the Be Cool, when they were kind of wrestling over the gun.
Okay, right.
That they were like on a dock or something like that. I wasn't there for. And I think when they were under the bleachers and when they first meet Maria and Tony, I don't think I was there for that, but the rest of the movie I was there for, and it was just every single scene, every moment I could see an object or something that I had my hands on and I moved and put into place. Like it was just crazy. Like at the beginning, there's like a pile of rubble and you see like fire escape ladders. I was the one who put that ladder there with somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So there was like, it was like I was just getting so much nostalgia and just remembrance of like the moments I had on this film. And it was like every single scene, every single cut, there was just something I had touched and put my hands on. And I was like, I interacted with it in some way.
Well, before we move to how was it working with Steven Spielberg, I real quickly just want to say thank you because, bro, everything in this movie was top notch. Like even the set decoration. Like I said in the review last episode, if it wasn't the cinematography, it was the acting. If it wasn't the acting, it was the set design. If it wasn't the set design, it was something. Everything was hitting in every frame of that movie. So thank you for
man. You wouldn't believe how much detail is in that stuff. Like I'll give you a perfect example. This is something you probably wouldn't even have noticed, but I don't know if you remember, but in the original film, I think Bernardo's like second in command is this guy. He has like a lazy eye.
Yeah.
Remember that guy in the original? I forget the actor's name. I feel like I should have looked it up or whatever. But he they used his image for Bernardo's opponent in the poster, in the boxing posters you see in the house.
Oh,
right. At the end in Gimbals, when Chino comes up to tell Maria, I don't want to spoil it for people who don't know, but Chino shows up and a security guard comes out and he's like, "Hey, what's going on here?" And you don't know it, but that guy was one of the original Jets in the film.
Yeah.
Right. So there was like a lot of little tiny things that like little homages that you don't even like realize. It's pretty dope. Very detailed stuff.
So before we move on to Sex in the City, since that is dropping this week on HBO Max, we got to ask the question: how was it meeting and working with Spielberg, man?
Well, when you first see him, it's like you realize it's like, yo, that's Spielberg. That's the man right there, right? So I remember like I saw him and I snuck a picture of him. This was outside the gymnasium where they were doing that big dance number. So I actually got a picture of him. And then when I first started on the film, right, I was actually an offset dresser, and then I started running the AC units. And then after a couple of weeks of that, then I went on to onset. So it wasn't until I became an onset that then I started like seeing this guy a lot more often and just being closer and closer to camera. And after like a week or two, like I was finding myself like literally like feet away from him, just watching the monitors and stuff. And he's an absolute professional. He walks around and it's like he just has this confidence that it's not cockiness. It's just he just knows what he wants, and he works really well with Janish, and he works really well with the entire crew. And he's just a professional, and he's just such a sweet guy that everybody just wants to make sure he gets the results that he's looking for. I got to, and then like as the shoot went on, he got familiar with me because he'd see me every day, so he'd always say hello to me. And I got really cool with his bodyguards. Speaking of Sex and the City, his bodyguards worked on Sex and the City, and I just saw them recently, so that was like a big reunion of sorts. And then at the end, right, on the last day of shooting, I had on this shirt. It was it was like a mix-up of an old Amazing Spider-Man comic book cover where it's the Punisher and he's got Spider-Man in his crosshairs. But the way I have the shirt, instead of the Punisher, it's Chief Brody with the rifle, and then in the crosshairs, it's the shark. So when Spielberg was at the monitors, this is on the last day of shooting, he looks at me and he sees the shirt and he calls me over and he's like, "We have to take a picture." So then we like took a picture together. So I have a picture of me and Spielberg and he's making like a Jaws shark thing by my shirt. And yeah. And then I was like, then I told him, "Dude, this was my first feature ever." And he was like, "Oh, you should have told me." And then I was like, "Yo, I mean, what do you want me to do? Like interrupt you in the middle of a take and be like, 'Yo, it's my first feature.'" But yeah, that was my experience with him, man. He was a sweet man. He was oh, and there was actually something else that I saw with him that I could share that I think you guys would appreciate. But at one point, his assistant came over with an iPad, and they had his dad on a FaceTime call. And I think at this point his father was like 101 or something, like really old, 101, 102, and he was all wired up on tubes, and he was like at the hospital or whatever, or just being hospice care or something. And he started showing, like, he took the iPad and he started showing his dad the set, and he was like, "Dad, I'm here. I'm finally making the musical I told you I wanted to make, and it's going so well, and everybody's doing so well." And dude, that's like one of the closest moments I had to just outright crying. Like,
Yeah,
it
I'm
was
tearing up
so
hearing the
fucking
story.
beautiful. And he was just talking to his father, like his father was lucid, and you could see that this man was just like totally out of it. You know what I mean? But he was still showing his father, and he was like very proud to show him what he was showing. And it was really like such a human moment that I was just like, I was just sold on the man like completely by this point. Like, I'll go to hell with you, brother.
Yo, it makes me so happy to hear that not only is Spielberg a nice, humble guy after all these years and him being basically the best living director working today, but to also hear like he's still like a geek and he's still a family man and he's still like he's doing stuff that I would do in that situation. Like, look, mom, I finally made the movie that I said I was going to make as a kid. That's amazing to me.
Yeah, and he was just like I remember a night that it started raining, and he stopped everything just so he could stand at the gate of the stage, just to watch the rain, and he was just watching it, smiling like a kid. It was just like you couldn't help but just appreciate the guy. He was just very genuine.
Oh my God. You're going to make me cry, man.
Yeah, stop it, man. Stop. I'm weepy.
Some tissues, motherfuckers.
All right, so let's move on to Sex in the City. You set design Sex in the City as well.
Nah, I worked on Sex in the City for about a month, and I was as a set dresser, offset, setting up the locations basically for the shooting crew, for the onsets when they come out.
Okay, so yeah, I was going to say, why don't you explain that? Like offset versus onset.
Offset, we basically like prep the location for the shooting crew, and sometimes it takes a day, sometimes it takes 3 days, depends on the size of the location. So we get everything ready for them. Then we basically hand it to the onsets, and then the onsets are the ones that work with the camera, and they move stuff as per camera or the director, and they just maintain continuity. That's what they do.
All right, and tell us about your experience on working on the revival.
It was okay, and it was okay because a few of these people I had worked with on I worked on that Apple TV Stephen King miniseries, Lisey Story, with some of these people. I really like them. You become fast friends with a lot of these people because you just kind of realize like how similar you are, and like your interests are like aligned in a way. And that was the good thing, like seeing all these people. But it was just weird because when I got there, it was like just a weird vibe. Just it was just off. Didn't really feel like the camaraderie was there. It seemed like there was a lot of tension from stuff between certain people in the crew, So there was that. And then some of the days were just a little longer than they needed to be and stuff. But it was interesting to actually see the three girls, to see Sarah Jessica Parker, Cynthia Nixon, and what's the other one? My favorite one, actually. And I forgot her name.
It's Cynthia Davis,
Charlotte. Cynthia, yeah. Yeah, they look great, man. Believe it or not, they looked great.
Did you get to meet them?
Cynthia Nixon, I got to meet very, very briefly. I just, we said hello to each other, like we kind of just looked at each other and said, "Oh, hey, hi, how you doing?"
Okay,
that was it.
Yeah. Anything else that you are working on you want to plug or say that's coming out that you're working on?
No, not really. I mean, right now I'm currently working on The Equalizer, and that's been a pretty interesting production. I mean, the crew on it is fantastic. I work with a bunch of great people. They're so great. It's like I look forward to going to work with them, even if I know the day is going to be a shit show. Like, I know that I'm going to be in the hands of great people. So that's pretty awesome. That's a good thing. It's a good thing to work with people who have that common goal and drive of getting a job done and doing it the best that we can.
Jeff, do you have any more questions?
I mean, I could talk to this man forever and get these stories,
brother.
but I'm
well,
good.
Anything else on West Side Story? I'm happy to answer. I feel like I got more, and I'm just like I'm like it's just on the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember, and I should have noted these things.
So, all right. So, on the last show, Brandon and I had this little, this argument that he thinks Spider-Man is going to be the biggest box office of the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think West Side Story is going to be the biggest box office of the year. What do you think? Not like take implicit bias out of the way. What do you think? Or you could come up with some other shit.
That 3 hour runtime might work against it, but this movie is gonna do gangbusters over the holiday. This is definitely the movie that people are gonna want to see after Christmas dinner or New Year's. It's definitely a family holiday movie. And Spider-Man right out of the gate is gonna make a killing, but I don't know, man. It's kind of hard to call it. I think West Side Story is going to do fantastic, but it might place just behind Spider-Man in terms of money, in terms of dollars.
All right, fair enough. Oh, also, did you take anything from set? Like a souvenir, or do they like anything like that was personal that you really were proud of?
The boxing poster. Somehow I wound up with one of those in my car.
Oh,
and I don't even know where that shit is. I might not even have that anymore, but not anything really physical, but mainly it was I got a lot of pictures. I got a lot of really good photos, and it's like whenever I see these things, I'm just like, it just takes me back 2.5 years to this amazing stretch of my professional career.
All right, well,
yeah,
Jeff, any more questions from you?
No, I'm good, man.
Terrance, thank you for coming on. Thank you for giving
you've
been gracious with your time and your stories. I think a lot of people are going to get a lot out of what you had to say today. Further down the line, we probably want you back on to talk more.
For sure, man.
If you have anything coming up exciting, let us know. We'll have you back on, man.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I just feel like, damn, dude, I know there's stuff I wanted to tell you guys, like little stories, but
I mean, shit, we can do a segment every week, like Terrance stories.
Oh yeah, and another thing, you know what? You know what was great actually? One of the ways I bonded with this crew, because you got to remember too, like this is my first feature. These people had all worked together several times before, so like they kind of like they were okay with me, but like they weren't like I wasn't really fully a part of the crew, right? And then we were working at that salt shack, right? And me and the other onset, we put this big engine block in front of the gate where Anton had to lift that up, right? Mm-hmm. Remember he had to lift it up, and then Chino helped him. So that gate, we dressed it. I put salt up on the corners of the gate or whatever, and me and the other onset laid down this engine block, and then the camera goes, guys, that engine block's not working. We gotta pull it. And then the onset, he goes, hey man, if it's not working, it's walking. And this guy knows that I do a Christopher Walken impression. So he looks at me and he's like, dude, you got to say it. And I go, hey, if it's not working, it's walking. And the entire crew fucking exploded laughing. And after that, it was like they just took me in. And it was like that was one of my favorite moments on that shoot because it was really late. It was 3 a.m. And the fact that I managed to make all of them laugh in one shot was that was awesome. That was a nice moment. And to the point where like I ran into some of these people in the Heights like a couple of months later on reshoots, and they were like, dude, just say my name like Christopher Walken or whatever.
Wait, can we get a film blurge drop as you doing Christopher Walken?
What do you need me to say?
I don't know. Like you're here with Brandon and Jeff. They're the film blurds and spout some Walkenisms.
You're here with Brandon. You're here with Brandon and Jeff, and here we go with the Blurds podcast. You'll love it, I swear.
Perfect.
Oh shit.
Yeah, man. But honestly, guys, thank you so much for having me on. This was an absolute pleasure. And
yeah, man, thank you.
I hope I gave you guys a little bit of insight and just to like how special this was, man, because it was just even just these little things like the assistant prop master, like I just happened to mention Angel Heart being one of my favorite movies of all time. That was the first movie he ever worked on.
Oh wow.
And he immediately he was like, I love you. Like he nobody ever mentions that movie. Me and the lead onset, we have an affinity for that movie Dreamscape with Dennis Quaid. We were both like shook the fucking Snake Man in that movie and shit.
Right.
And the fucking one of the props overheard us talking, and then she said that her dad played the Snake Man in the movie in the costume.
What?
You believe that? Like it was
Yo,
just such a coincidence that she heard it. That was her dad that played that guy. If you believe that.
Man,
like I'm falling more and more in love with this film and everyone
right?
involved. The more you talk about it,
Yeah, man. I saw Steven Sondheim. He was on set, and I didn't even realize it was him for like half an hour. And then I'm looking at him, and I'm like, "Holy shit, that's him!"
Whoa.
And he said he waved at
oh,
me and he said hello. I met Richard Bamer, who played Tony in the original. Rita Moreno, I got pictures with her. As soon as she heard me talking Spanish, she was like, "Come here, I want you next to me." Yeah, she was really sweet lady.
I
And
hope she wins. I hope she gets nominated. I hope she wins because she
they'll at
was.
least give her a nod. And that when she did Somewhere, man, that shit got me choked up. That was a really moving scene. And I was right next to, dude, it's just insane to me that for a lot of these scenes, I was literally like 5 feet away from these people, just watching them do their thing. Like Anita in the church when she was singing, I was on the other pew, like across the aisle.
What?
That shit's wild, man.
Man, you are a treasure trove of stories for West Side Story, man.
Yeah, man.
And I know I have more too, man. Who knows? Maybe I'll just pop up on the next one. Like y'all be talking about Blade, I'll be like, yo, I remember that thing.
Yeah, we should do an unofficial, like when this eventually comes out to DVD or Blu-ray, whatever like that. We should do an unofficial, but not behind the scenes,
Commentary,
but
live
commentary track.
I'm down
On
with
Twitter
that. Let's
Spaces,
do it.
we'll do it on Twitter Spaces. Us three just
Yeah,
do our own commentary.
I'm down with it. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you, Terrance, for coming on. If you
Thank
think
you,
of
Trey.
anything else, shoot me a text, write it down.
I'm going to end by saying, for anybody who's listening to this, I didn't start set dressing until like I was 44. The other day, I heard this kid talking about he's too old to move forward in the business, and the kid's like 30 years old. What I guess I'm just trying to say, long story short, is just, don't ever feel like it's too late for you to follow your dreams or your goals. As long as you keep that candle lit, you'll see these wonderful things materialize before you, man. The fact that I was working for Spielberg, my first feature ever, it just shows if you keep that candle lit, anything can happen, man. So just keep that hope alive. Film is still a thing. It's still alive. And I'm happy about that. And I'm happy to be involved.
That was a perfect way to close this, man.
What you watching? What you watching? I said, what you watching? What you watching?
What are you watching?
All right. Well, I've kept it kind of light this week because I've been busy.
Same.
Prepping for this movie I'll be shooting in a couple of weeks. But I did get a chance to watch this documentary series on Hulu, and it is absolutely fucking amazing. The Curse of Van Dutch, a brand to die for.
Yeah, we posted that to our Instagram.
Yeah,
and I've been meaning to check it out, just haven't had the time.
Yeah, so I watched it, and it is a wild fucking ride. Let me tell you, it's like the Tiger King of clothing lines. It's just a bunch of weird characters like backstabbing each other and shit like that. So I didn't know anything about Van Dutch, like beyond like douches wore it in the early 2010s.
Yeah, you couldn't
whatever.
escape it, man.
Right, like Ed Hardy, Van Dutch, and shit like that.
It was ugly. All of it, that shit was ugly.
Right, yeah, like it's trucker hats, which are cool, but like
trucker hats are for white trash.
Well, yeah, there you go.
If you live in a trailer park, that's your go-to hat.
Or if you're a fucking trucker,
yeah, that too.
Yeah. But it all started like just a brief backstory. It all started like kind of good, right? Like most things do. Like these hood motherfuckers, like some minorities, wanted to start a clothing line that kind of spoke to skateboarders and surfers, but with an edge and shit like that, right? So they get hooked up with the Van Dutch sort of IP, and Van Dutch, I didn't know, was an artist. Okay, and like he pretty much made the whole entire like pinstripe, rockabilly fucking art scene in like the 60s and 70s or whatever like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like it started off cool, but then it got successful. Right. And then as it got more successful, they needed more money and shit like that. And so here comes the colonizer, an actual Dutch dude who drops all sorts of money into this thing, and that's where it goes haywire. Because like people are backstabbing each other, like they're pulling contracts and shit like that, and there ends up being like fucking kidnappings and murders and shit like that. And I'm like, yeah, hood motherfuckers are gonna do hood motherfucker shit. You know, it doesn't matter if you have a contract or not like that. You're gonna have someone from the Mexican mob show up at the corporate headquarters and try to buy out someone's contract. Like it's fucking crazy. And one of the creators of Van Dutch, he used to be a gangbanger and shit like that, drug dealer. He is on screen like doing his interview, smoking crack. Right there. Like in between interview questions, he's just fucking hitting a pipe. I'm just like, what?
You've made some bad choices smoking crack, but now I know you're a true piece of shit if you're smoking crack on camera and you know this is going to be presented to the world.
And you know, as it got more popular, it went away from the street scene, and you know, Paris Hilton started wearing it and shit like that. Like I forgot all about the surreal life, the rural life, or whatever like that, right? She was rocking Van Dutch all the way fucking through that, right? And so that's where it blew up. And they brought on like Christian Aguilera, whatever like that, that French designer, and he just started doing like just weird shit, getting away from the brand, but it got more popular. And yeah, so it's a wild fucking ride. There was this one part of it, they're just showing all the celebrities who showed up at the Van Dutch store once it became a thing. And Whitney Houston showed up with her entourage and got like, you know, because they like comp celebrities.
Yeah.
She got one of everything. Like she just went through the store and it was like, I'm going to take this, I'm going to take that, I'm going to take this, I'm going to take that. Like she literally got all like half the store's merchandise and just walked out.
What?
Right? And I'm just like, oh, Whitney, you are America's, you know, sweetheart and everything like that. But that was some real Bobby Brown shit right there. There's some real black shit. Walk in and it's like, oh, you don't give it to me free? I won't take everything. Yeah. So if you get a chance, watch. I'm missing like tons and tons of anecdotes and shit like that. It just gets a
it's a whole show.
It's a whole like 3 episodes, 3 hour episodes. And if you were alive in that era, or if not, whatever like that, you know a Van Dutch douche.
Yes.
When you see one, like you don't have to wear Van Dutch to be a Van Dutch douche. But yeah, check out that documentary on Hulu.
Let's get the Ed Hardy doc.
Well, it's the same. It like the Christian Aguilera, or whatever, like Aduguer or whatever.
Right.
He developed the new Van Dutch line. He developed Ed Hardy. He developed his own line and shit like that. So he
has no taste.
Right. He was responsible for pretty much all the douchebaggery from 2010 to, you know.
Big cocaine, big energy drink energy.
Yeah, big cocaine energy drink energy. Cocaine energy drink. I'm gonna put that I'm gonna write that down. That's how I'm gonna get my Van Dutch money.
Oh man, there's gonna be a lot of crimes committed on that.
Yeah. So after that, I was on the whole entire train wreck documentary wavelength. So I decided to finally sit down and watch Tiger King 2 on Netflix, and it doesn't hit the same. It doesn't hit the same.
I could have told you that.
Yeah, but
why bother?
Like I want to see like how they approached it. Right? They're still trying to unravel the mystery of whether that bitch Carol Baskin murdered her husband.
I mean, it's pretty obvious at this point.
Right. But they, you know, it's Jeff Lowe is still a douchebag.
Yeah, I mean,
right. It's the same old shit. Just like now that they've gotten popular, and all the troubles that have happened because of the documentary, and they've got these sad ass interviews with the Tiger King in jail and shit like that, Joe Exotic. I mean, it's entertaining enough, but it's not like the revelation the first season was, and I hope they just leave it at this, unless Joe Exotic actually gets out of jail.
All right.
And then they follow him, like his life, after Tiger King and him being a star. That's the only other way they can go and make this interesting. But one anecdote: the first episode of this new season, takes place during the insurrection at the Capitol. So his PR team tried to go and get Trump to give him a pardon, and they were there when they stormed the Capitol. So that's a little bit of sad hilarity.
Oh my God! All right.
Yeah. So
all right, yeah.
Tiger King 2, it's no Tiger King 1. That is what it is. Let's see. After that, I had a conversation with the Podfather over here, our engineer and producer Frank Sasso, and he put me on to a Netflix show that just dropped, True Story. Okay. And let me preface this by saying I am not a fan of Kevin Hart. I think he's humorous, but he's not funny. All right. But I do appreciate what he's done with his career. I appreciate him, all his hustle and all that other shit like that. I'm never going to knock that. He just does not connect with me. So I started watching this show. I was apprehensive and shit like that. And let me fucking tell you, this is probably the best thing Kevin Hart's ever done. All right. So when I first watched the trailer, I half thought it was a documentary about him, and then I started watching the show, and it's a straight up fucking crime drama. All right. So it's about a character, Kevin Hart. He's playing Kevin Hart, but not Kevin Hart, who goes back to Philly and for a stand-up tour and shit like that. His brother's there. His brother's played by Wesley Snipes, who Wesley Snipes makes everything better. So this was great before, but Wesley Snipes really just fucking puts his foot in this shit. And through happenstance and shit like that, Kevin Hart ends up with a dead body in his bed. All right. And so it escalates from there. He's got to get rid of the body because he can't be found with a dead chick in his bed. La 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 la. I thought I knew where this was going. I thought it was going to be like sort of a mix of The Game and Iceberg Slim. By the end of the first episode, it took a left turn. All right. I haven't finished the series, but I'm looking forward to finishing it. And let me say, Kevin Hart is a really, really good actor.
Okay. All right.
He carries this, and like the emotion and the fear when he wakes up, like with the dead body and shit like that. Yeah. So this movie, this whatever limited Netflix series has changed my view of Kevin Hart. All right. And so I hope he does more stuff like this in the future. I know his bread and butter is, the loud, crazy black man and whatever comedy, or action team up with The Rock or whatever bullshit.
Right.
But if he starts doing more stuff like this, he's actually going to be one to actually, I would say if he is on this trajectory, he might be an awards contender in a couple of years. He's shown a I don't fuck with Kevin Hart, but this has shown me that he is he could fucking pull out an Adam Sandler.
All right, well, that is gonna have to be on the back burner because I still got screeners to get through, even though I voted already.
And that's it. I got some little movies I watched, but nothing I want to get into right now because we're on a timetable.
Let's start for me. I'll save Nightmare Alley for last, and I promised you guys that I was gonna revisit Lord of the Rings, and that's gonna have to hold off because I had to revisit some other shit. So Lord of the Rings. And I'm only revisiting the first one because the first one turns 20 on December 18th or 19th. So it'll be this next episode. But as for right now, Friday, I turned on the new Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie for the kids. I've seen the first one, the live action one, because again, I work with kids, and this is just the live action movie done as a cartoon, and it's shorter. Like, it's 55 minutes, and that's all I can say about that. The kids liked it. That's all I can say.
All right, well, the kids like it.
Saturday, my boy hadn't seen Dune, and they re-released it in IMAX, and I was hyped. So we went to 68th and Broadway, saw Dune there. That was only his second time seeing something in IMAX, and he was just like floored the whole time. Like, he was just like, yo, what the fuck? He was glad. He said he was glad to see it in IMAX. He said there's nothing like seeing a movie on that 8-story screen, and it's true. There's just nothing like it. And that movie's still packing them in. Like, that IMAX, it was still crowded. It was still crowded. Not as crowded as the first few times I went, but it was still packed, and people still stand up and cheer and clap at the end of the movie.
Because it's an experience, you know? Like, it's one of those things where you can tell other people, or like, you know, years past, like, yeah, I saw that shit in IMAX. I shot that as big as possible, and it changed me.
See, I think Dune should like every 2 years, annually would be great, but every 2 years re-release it on IMAX. That and Interstellar, like, keep showing that in IMAX.
I mean, at that point, it's free money.
Yeah,
you know, like you've already made it. It's on DVD or whatever like that. But if you make it an event, people will show up for that.
Yeah, man. Like, you do one, because, you know, there's dead zones, right? There's dead zones in release dates, and like, that's what IMAX should be like taking advantage of, is like shit shot by Christopher Nolan, or like shit shot in IMAX. Like, throw that back up on IMAX for a week.
I mean, they should do that for a lot of movies, just not movies that with IMAX, but like a lot of classics, or you know, or movies that just play better in a theater.
Well,
you know?
The Matrix, the first Matrix, just got remastered for IMAX, and they're showing it for the very first time Tuesday and Wednesday in IMAX.
Yo.
Unfortunately, I bought a ticket. Well, I didn't buy a ticket because I'm an A-list member,
right,
but I got a ticket for Wednesday, and now I'm just like, well, this is a waste, just because.
Yeah.
I'd like to give a shout out to Greg Frazier. Thanks for signing American Cinematographer for me, or for us, but I'm keeping it.
Yeah, no, that's yours. You earned that shit. Like, you've been the biggest proponent for Dune, I think, in the world. So
I'm gonna say this, man. For part 2, Greg and Denny, if you're listening, Denny, we would love to talk to you, but Greg, man, try shooting as much as possible in IMAX. If you can shoot the whole movie, especially now that these digital cameras can do full 8-story IMAX, like, yo, try to shoot the whole movie in IMAX.
And also, just to let you know, we don't mind sand, so we're gonna put that out there.
Yeah, if you wanna... We'll come to the set, and we'll do a whole journalistic set visit.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there for you.
All right. After Dune, though, we went to my favorite Mexican spot in near Lincoln Center.
Are you gonna plug them? Are you gonna give a shout out?
Shout out to Rosa Mexicana. I did not know they did brunch, and we got there just as they were winding down brunch. They're like, yeah, you can still order off the brunch menu. Y'all fucked up. Because they had endless brunch, and yo, we were floating. Like, you know that Spike Lee dolly where they're floating down the street? That was us once we walked out of there.
The Spike Lee dolly drunk?
Yep.
Oh shit.
Yeah, bro. I got one mango mimosa, and I was like, nah, let me switch over to margaritas, because it was $20 for
endless. Yeah, they fucked up. They fucked up.
And the thing is, this place is known for making their drinks strong. Nigga, they made them stronger and stronger, because they're like, yo, we want you out of here. Like, we have other people to serve. Get the fuck out. By the time, like, it got so bad, like, our server came up. We were halfway through one drink, and he came up with 2 more. He's like, all right, here's 2 more. Last call. Here's your bill. We paid the bill, and we sat there for another like 15, 20 minutes polishing off those last. And I'll tell you what, that last one was nothing but tequila, because you could tell, like, they just kept pouring it because they're like, yo, we need to get these motherfuckers out of here.
It's like, we're losing money.
Yo, it was so bad. Brian's like, yo, I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish it. I took it, I chugged half of it, and then he chugged the other half. And I was like, yo, you should have seen us just floating down the street like the dolly shot floating. We did that was at 60th and Columbus Circle. We walked from there all the way to Penn Station.
Floating.
Just floating. Just floating. So the last bit I'll get into before Nightmare Alley is I rewatched the entire Matrix trilogy. You know.
How was it hold up?
I mean, the Matrix still a classic. Reloaded, I love that it picks up some stuff that they talk about in the first one.
Right.
And expands upon. I think it bites off more than it can chew and doesn't fully explore everything it brings up. And then three doesn't completely resolve and satisfy what they were doing in 2.
Yeah, I actually during lockdown I rewatched all of them, but like I paid special attention to the last one, and I remember not liking it all that much when I saw it in theaters, but with time and growth as a person, like it's not bad. It's just it was missed a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, man. It's just a big missed opportunity. I look, man. I think my main problem with Matrix 2 and 3 also is it's one big movie cut in 2, and I hate that shit.
Yeah,
like 2 is just a first and the middle of a second act, and then the third movie is just nothing but one big third act. Like it has no beginning. It just starts, and
right,
it's just like
right.
Like the movie just stops. Like Matrix 2 just stops, and it stops at a point where I'm just like, that's not even a good cliffhanger because we already seen Agent Smith take over Bane.
Right.
So, very excited though to see where this new one's coming. They dropped a trailer today. Me and you didn't watch it for reasons. I revisited this trilogy for reasons. That's why I didn't get to Lord of the Rings because I was revisiting the Matrix.
We got reasons.
Yeah, we got reasons. And I'll finish off with Nightmare Alley. I went to the third ever screening of Nightmare Alley. Guillermo del Toro, I hope he never stops making movies because the one thing that leapt out to me watching this was the set design. Like the sets are insane. The production design's insane. Like they recreated the Art Deco noir in small towns and just the carny life. Like it's amazing visually. It has a stacked cast, and I would say this is probably Bradley Cooper's best performance.
Really?
Yeah, and like, bro, DiCaprio did not do this role, and he didn't do the brief John Peters role in Licorice Pizza.
Right.
Yo, Bradley Cooper, he saw those opportunities,
like
and he went in.
Up.
Yeah,
like,
man. Like I was like, yo, because watching both of these movies, I'm like, yo, DiCaprio, you fucked up. Because I think Nightmare Alley's good, but it's definitely a better movie than what he decided to do and what we will review in our main review.
I mean, for Nightmare Alley, I might have gotten why he didn't want to do that, just because it might have, in his mind, been a little too close to Shutter Island, and he'd already done that. Well, I mean, not like that, like, but he spent some time in the past before. But Licorice Pizza, that would have been like
a day or two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I can't. I wish, like Guillermo del Toro said, it's impossible to adapt the entire novel because the entire novel is a saga. And I was just like, my man, I wish you would have just did this as like
a series,
a mini series. You know what I mean? Because the 1941 movie is still a classic and it still stands over, like towers over this version. I'm not trying to be mean.
You tell the truth.
And this is an hour longer than the original.
And it's
2.5 hours, and the original was like an hour 40.
Can we get back to when movies were a straight 2 hours or lower?
So my thing is, now that we have a break coming up, I might try to read Nightmare Alley, and if I'm as enraptured with it as Del Toro was,
right,
I'll try to do a miniseries. Like, I think a good 4-episode miniseries would suffice. I mean, this story's never not going to be old just because, like, it's classic noir storytelling, classic noir tropes. Like
right.
When Cate Blanchett walks up, the way she's lit and the way she's talking, the way her eyes glow in the light, I'm like, yo, how's this nigga not know that she's going to fuck him? Like, I don't know why he trusted her so much. Like, that's the only problem. The movies, they needed to develop her character a little more, because I'm like, there's no reason he should be trusting her.
But they never develop the femme fatale in these things, so
not never. You know,
but
what I mean?
like rarely. You know,
I think it was done much better in the original. All right, but yeah, that's Nightmare Alley. Definitely worth a check out. If you can't get into Spider-Man, you got this. You got this and West Side Story. Like, do a double feature. Now that we've seen all the primetime players of award season, this will probably be nominated for like cinematography, production design, and no way Bradley Cooper's not gonna. Oh, I would like to give a shout out to Dune also, because Dune was won the MBR's top 10. It was listed in one of their top 10 films.
All right,
and Licorice Pizza was was given Best Director and Best Picture.
Right. I wanted to talk to you about that. Do you agree with Licorice Pizza getting Best Picture?
Yeah, because it's a good movie. Is it my pick for Best Picture? No, but like I'm not mad at it at all, because it's just such a great movie, and I probably would have loved it a lot more if the circumstances I seen it were better and done differently.
Right.
So,
They listen to the last episode. They fucked him on that one.
So yeah, let's get into trailer talk.
Roll camera and action.
It's time for some trailer talk.
All right, let's get into our first one. They dropped this 8 o'clock on a Saturday. Like, I was so drunk. I took a shower and I'm about to pass out. I'm like, all right, 8 o'clock on a Saturday, I'm good. It's pitch black anyway. It's winter. Who gives a shit?
Right.
Bro, 8 o'clock on a Saturday, they just tried to drop a whole ass like 3-minute scene from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1.
Right.
And I'm just like, I saw the title. I'm like, motherfucker. I was like, God damn it. I was like, we got to do this shit again.
But I fuck with the Spider-Verse.
So do I, but
so much.
But yeah, I'm tired of this shit, bro. I'm tired of this shit. Like I said, Dune gets a pass because it's based off a fucking book.
Right.
This, I'm like, y'all, come on, man.
Just trying to fucking milk for all it's worth.
God damn it, man. And like, I love you, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, but like, y'all.
Like, I got faith in them that it's not going to be your normal sort of like part 1, part 2 bullshit. Like, I think they're going to give something special. So I'll give them a pass until I see it.
Like, all right, so into the it's a scene of Miles literally traveling across the multiverse, and Miguel O'Hara, aka Spider-Man 2099. I love those comics. He's beating the shit out of him.
Yeah. And
it starts off literally where the first movie ended. Like, it literally picks up that same exact moment.
Is it the same exact moment?
Yeah. Where Gwen comes back.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that was the end of yeah.
Miles has an actual suit now. Like, the logo's not spray painted on. It's like actually it's like a nice suit.
Right.
So he got upgraded.
Yeah, Aunt May.
So I'm interested to see. Chris Miller tweeted some stuff out about the movie. One thing I found interesting is this one tweet where he says, "It's true. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is part 1 of 2 films. Me and the team, including Phil Lord, are working incredibly hard, and we are doing both films simultaneously. So we're working on parts 1 and part 2 at the same time."
Okay.
And Oscar Isaac is returning as Miguel O'Hara. Haley Steinfeld is Gwen. Shamik Moore is back as Miles, and Issa Rae is Jessica Drew, aka Spider-Woman. And then apparently there is many more surprises.
Okay. I mean, Sony's trying to milk this Spider-Man for as much as they're worth, that IP.
Yeah.
So,
well, when opportunity knocks, they're going to take it, because apparently we're going to get the first trailer for In the Multiverse of Madness before
Spider-Man?
No Way Home.
No Way Home? Okay. All right. So
this is the big month for Marvel, man.
Wait, aren't they still shooting the multiverse of madness.
I guess they have enough footage where they could cut together a trailer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Well, let's see. Let's see
man.
what's happening.
Before we get into Peacemaker, let's talk about Raised by Wolves.
This looks fucking crazy.
It looks like it has a bigger budget than the first season, which is nuts. Like, you would think they would have been like, yo, we got to start cutting corners on this. And they're just like, oh, here's some more money.
Like, they doubled down in the scope from what we saw in this trailer is bigger.
It looks like it's going to be a war between the religious faction and these androids, which, you know, that already started in the first season, but they're like doubling down now.
Right.
Very interested to see how this is going to play out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're going to unravel the mystery of the planet more because, like, the last episode of last season,
they go to the center of the earth. It's like of Jules Verne, like literally. Right. So, February.
Yeah, I can't wait. And I'm so glad it got a second season because, you know, this is hard sci-fi.
Yes. This is like, I know a lot of people said Dune is inaccessible. This is more inaccessible.
Yeah, this is fucking heady as shit.
Yeah, this is some shit where, like, you know, you watch it with some friends, they're gonna look at you and be like, you fucking nerd.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll be a fucking nerd.
Me too.
It was great. It was great.
We're black nerds, so I mean, this is for us.
Yeah,
I mean,
so shit. Like it was, you know, it's in the title. But yeah, so I'm super excited for this for the second season.
Yeah. So let's get into our final trailer for Peacemaker. I love it, man. Like they're I'm not against like Peacemaker was cool in the Suicide Squad, and that's very cool that this is going to be basically his redemption, like molding him into a good person.
Right, to an actual superhero instead of, you know,
just a scumbag.
Right.
And then you see why he's a scumbag in this. Like Robert Patrick, I'm like, damn, bro. Still the T-1000, you piece of shit. Still a cold-hearted bastard.
Has Robert Patrick ever played like a good guy?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, man, he was in the last 4 or 5 seasons of the X-Files. He replaced Mulder once David Duchovny left.
Oh, that's right.
And then once Scully, once Gillian Anderson was like, yeah, I'm gonna leave too. They got Monica Reyes. I forget who she was played by, but those two took over the show. I mean, it was a cool little dynamic, you know?
Right.
And then everybody came back for the last season, and then them two, like Doggett, you never hear from again. But then Monica. Because, you know, they brought X-Files back since.
Right, it was like, what was it, 2 years ago, 3 years ago they brought it back?
They brought it back in like spurts. So it was 2 more seasons, seasons 11 and season 12. And season 12, Monica comes back as a bad guy, which I was like, wait, how's the protagonist of the show turn into the villain just randomly, just because?
Because they forgot about the other seasons.
Those last 2 seasons, seasons 11 and 12. That's why I was just like, oh boy, maybe we should just let sleeping dogs lie.
Yeah, I know. I loved the X-Files when it was on. And it was kind of cool to see the revival, but I'm like, I didn't need this.
Those 2 seasons, because there were mini series basically, but like those 2 seasons, I was just like, bro, this is rough. Like season 12 was definitely better than season 11, but it was still like,
it was like, it's like sometimes you don't want to meet up with your old friends on Thanksgiving Eve to get drunk. You know, sometimes it's like we'll talk on Facebook.
Yeah, and the cigarette man was somehow still alive, even though he blew himself the fuck up. Like that made no sense.
I don't remember anything about season 11 and 12. I don't even think I finished season 12.
Yeah, well, season 12 thankfully has a definitive ending. Like I know Chris Carter said like that wasn't meant to be an ending, but like that's a good ending.
That's a good way to stop
it. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Peacemaker looks incredible. Like Danielle Brooks is putting her foot into this. I was like, yo, you went from killing it on Orange to the New Black. Now you're gonna kill it on this fucking goddamn goofy ass show that has so much heart. Like James Gunn, man.
Just give James Gunn the money.
Yeah, man.
Let's give him the money and just give him his own network.
Yeah, like he's basically said this is the sequel to Suicide Squad. He's like, it's Suicide Squad 2.5.
That's good. Awesome.
Yeah.
Fucking, I could use more of James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, like, in my life.
So, 8 episodes. I know James Gunn right now, he's shooting the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special and the Volume 3 at the same time, because the holiday special's coming out. It's intricate to Volume 3.
Gotcha. So
like it's very important.
All right. Yeah. Is this going to be our last Dave Bautista Drax? Because I know he was fucking on the
Dave, he talks mad shit, man. Who knows? Who knows?
We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see.
Exactly. That's how it goes.
We'll see.
But yeah, Peacemaker looks incredible. John Cena cares, man. He is trying.
Like, for a guy who started off in just, wrestling and stuff like that, he is...
He was rapping.
I was right. I forgot.
He was a rapper.
He's a really good fucking actor, and like I've enjoyed everything that he has done.
Same with Batista. Like, this is I get what Batista said. Because somebody asked him, they're like, "Do you want to have the career The Rock has?" He's like, "No, The Rock is a movie star. That I don't want to be a movie star. I want to be an actor, not a movie star." And now I see the difference because he like the performances he gives, like he gets from Denny, like Denny gets out of him. I get it. Where The Rock is there for an image.
Right. The Rock is
an entertainer.
He's the personality. He's The Rock.
Right. Dave Bautista's trying to be a thespian, and I respect that.
Yeah. No. I mean, 100%.
And I think John Cena is leaning toward that too, where he's trying to be
like more than just like a personality.
Yes, he's trying to be an actor.
Right. And God
I'm
bless him.
not against it. I'm not against it, man.
Not at all.
Like, my thing is, we need more talent. If there's talent, let's pull from every pool possible.
Yeah, there you go.
So, all right.
So Peacemaker. Was it January what?
It's January like 10th or 11th, something like that.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into our main review.
And now, the moment you've been waiting for. The Film Blurds feature film review.
All right.
I want to start off by my favorite quote from this movie.
Go ahead.
Keep it simple, no math, but it's all math. That sums up this fucking movie.
I knew I wasn't really gonna vibe with this movie when it opens with Jennifer Lawrence rapping Wu-Tang. I was just like, why are we doing this shit? Why the fuck are we? Like, what her fucking red mullet? I was like, why the fuck are we doing this?
Right. So what we're talking about is Don't Look Up, which is hitting Netflix on the 10th. Right.
Theaters the 10th. And then on Netflix Christmas Day.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, because you want to watch this on Christmas Day.
Because it is a feel-good fucking movie.
Right. I will. Let me start off with the positive. This and Passing are the only two movies released by Netflix this year that look like fucking movies and feel like fucking movies.
Right. They spent money on this, and like they spent time on this.
They have actual craft.
Right. This movie, I have a complex sort of dynamic with it. I don't think it's not a bad movie to me. It's just too triggering and too fucking soon and too close to what we've gone through for the last 6 years, 5 years, whatever you want to call it, because it's supposed to be a satire, but literally you can point out every character has a corresponding actual real life person, and that makes me fucking cringe.
That's why I didn't like this movie, just because I'm just like, we're not out of this. We're still in it. We're still living through it. And it's hard for me to laugh at shit that I'm still suffering from and still living through.
Right.
And it stops being satire when this is how people really are. Like, people really are this fucking stupid. So it's just not funny.
Right. Like, replace Asteroid with Pandemic. And that's
the same fucking movie.
It's the same fucking movie.
You know what I mean?
Like the
DiCaprio's Dr. Fauci.
Yeah, don't look up is Make America Great Again.
Yes.
Like, and
yes.
I know they try. Like, I know that was the point. That's satire, but it's just like it's
not funny.
It's too soon. Like, if this had come out.
4 or 5 years?
Yeah, 4 or 5 years. I would think it would be amazing. Like, I'm going to have to revisit this in a couple of years. And I'm thinking, I'd say to myself, all right, this is a damn good satire, because hopefully we'll have been past all the bullshit.
It's also too long. This is 2.5 hours, bro.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be 2.5 hours.
Why the fuck? Like, god damn, dog. I'll say this too. The funniest moments in this were character choices and character beats. Like Jonah Hill, you
mean Don Jr.?
Yeah, his character was hilarious, and not because of the satire they were doing with that character, just because there'd be little moments where he would say or do something, and it was just funny.
Yeah.
So the character moments, not the actual satire.
Yeah, I mean, but like, taking away my personal feelings on the movie and everything like that, it's well acted.
Oh yeah,
it's well acted. It's stylized. It's not it's like I said, I will be able to enjoy this movie at a later date.
Yes. It is slickly edited. Like, that's what kept me invested, is the editing was just so good and so slick.
They spent money, and someone cared about this fucking movie.
Yeah. Like, this was amazing just from top to bottom. Craft wise. Let me punctuate that. Craft wise. But yeah, Leo fucked up on choosing his roles. Like, I get he's an environmentalist, so this speaks to him a lot. But my man, I think he would have, like, I get why he chose it, because like there's nothing for him to really, because he likes to scream and do like give that
powerful sort of like
yeah, and he gets that in this like a couple of times.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have gotten that in Nightmare Alley. He definitely would have gotten it in Licorice Pizza.
Right.
But my man, sometimes a more subdued role makes for better acting, more memorable acting. Like, you don't need to be like breaking down and screaming all the time.
Yeah, but I mean, at a certain point, like, he's at a point in his career where he can just follow his bliss. He doesn't have to worry about his career, so he can he has to worry about his career, but like he's Leo, like he can do whatever the fuck he wants because he's been in the trenches.
You want to know something disgusting?
What?
Because there's no box office receipts on this, and they're not going to make profits really from theaters. Like, they're going to make money in theaters because that's why they do it. But like, because there's no box office run like worldwide, Leo and Jennifer Lawrence, like, Jennifer Lawrence got $25 million up front.
Jesus.
Leo got 30.
This is
and her normal fee is like, I think 20 or 15.
Right.
Leo's normal fee is 20. They got extra because it's skipping the box office.
All right. Well, yeah.
Like, I remember reading that, and I just felt sick to my stomach. I'm like, man, fucking Jesus Christ.
That's the game, baby. It's not a bad movie. You may, where you are mentally at this point in your life, or this hellscape we call a timeline, you may find this more enjoyable than I did.
Yeah, because people are loving it, like on social media, because we are knocking down the embargo again with this review. We're gonna drop it as soon as the embargo lifts.
Right.
So, but yeah, man. Otherwise,
I could see how people fuck with this movie.
Yeah, like, people are just fucking losing their minds, and I'm like, this shit. I was like, okay, like that. My favorite thing in this movie is the song, because the song's just so good, and so well produced.
And honestly, I love the ending.
I mean, the ending you could see coming though.
Right. But I loved how it was shot. Like, when they're all at the table.
What, and it freeze frames? It does the Scorsese freeze frame?
Yeah. I kind of like it was skillfully done. I think that ending.
I mean, sure.
Yeah, I like to say I know it's triggering for you. I get it. Yeah. Same thing. Shout out to this. I didn't realize that was Kate Blanchett until halfway through the movie.
Really?
Yeah, like she embodied that Laura Ingraham sort of Fox News. Well,
she's having a good award season between this and Nightmare Alley. Like, yeah, she's doing all right.
Yeah, and Tyler Perry didn't annoy me. He was good.
Oh yeah, that's the thing that pissed me off about this nigga, is like, you see him in like dramas and other people's movies, and you're just like, nigga, like, you're so talented. You could do so much better, and you always just do the low hanging fruit.
Like, I don't want to have this conversation here, but we've had this conversation about my feelings about what Tyler Perry can bring to the table when it comes to bringing his audience up to a different level.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because he's a smart man.
Like, that's all I'm gonna say. Like, I'm not knocking his talent or his business acumen or anything like that. I'm just saying, You know,
you can do better.
You can do better.
You should,
because you can bring your core audience up to a higher level.
Yes,
and that's all I'm gonna. That's
all
all I'm gonna say about that.
Yes,
you know.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I can't recommend this just because, like, man, it's 2.5 hours and it's just shit that we're living through. It's just like
I can recommend it if you are in a good place in your life. Like if you're riding high, if you're doing all right, and if you can separate yourself from everything that we're surrounded with now, then yeah, you'll enjoy this. Like I said, in 4 years, I'm gonna fuck with this movie hard. But right now, Meryl Streep as female Trump, fucking Leonardo DiCaprio as Dr. Fauci, Mark Rylance as an amalgam of Jeff Bezos and Tim Cook.
And what's that other dude? Fucking Elon.
Elon and like fucking Zuckerberg. Like all of like if they had
and Jack.
Right. If they all jerked off into a petri dish and you cloned and you made a baby.
Yeah, that's what you get.
That's Mark Rylance in this. Yeah.
Yeah, man. We're at an impasse again. This is Ghostbusters all over again.
Yeah, I mean, but like, I think we're both at the point where we kind of agree that this isn't for us right now.
I mean, I don't know if it's going to be for me in 5 years either. Because again, like I lived through it.
Right.
It's not funny.
And like, that's the thing with satire. Sometimes it's a fine fucking razor sharp kind of act, you know?
I mean, it's like making, like, imagine if they made a satire about slavery, dog. Like, that's how I feel about this shit, where I'm just like...
Yep, all right, well, yeah. I mean, okay. Yeah, I mean, wasn't HBO going to make a satire about slavery?
No, that was not a satire.
It would have ended up being a satire.
Not in a good way.
Oh, yeah, no, it would have, yeah.
Hey, man, but that dude went on and did Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And you know what? I'm glad they didn't do Confederate, because even in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, clearly bit off more than they could chew.
Right.
Clearly. Like, great ideas needed better writers to execute what they're trying to say.
Well, maybe the second season. They're getting a second. Of course, they're
not getting a second season.
No, they're not.
They're getting a movie.
That's right. They're going right into 4, right?
Yeah, they're getting a trilogy now.
That's going to be that's a trilogy now.
Yes, Anthony Mackie said, like, once my trilogy's done, like, I'm retiring. He's just like, I'm getting old, so like,
okay.
He's like, I got to be Cap for a new trilogy. So once the trilogy's done, and Sebastian Stan probably said, like, yo, I'm probably gonna retire because I don't want to be Captain America, and I will also be too old.
All right, well, let's see what happens. Like we've had this Marvel conversation, this new phase. So
and that's one of 2 projects so far I think are worth checking out, because it's that and Loki.
Yeah, and like we haven't really talked about this. I haven't watched the last episode of Hawkeye, but the first 2 episodes of Hawkeye.
Yeah, exactly. You're just like, season.
It's enjoyable. It's enjoyable.
Episode 3 is definitely better than the first 2. It really picks up and starts to take off. But even then, I'm just like, Like, yo, I'm telling you, man, Marvel, Kevin Feige, man, he's getting in his own way. Like, he's McDonald's now. Like, you love McDonald's, but then after a while, you get sick of eating the fucking McDouble. You're sick of sitting on the toilet at 3 a.m. You're sick of feeling like feeling the heart palpitations in your fucking chest.
But the thing about the McDouble is you can put the fries on top of the McDouble, and it's a different sandwich.
Maybe that's gonna be Thor: Love and Thunder, because Taika swears that's the weirdest movie he's ever made. Okay. And you know what? We need
weird.
We need something. We need something different, bad, man. Because goddamn, this feels like fast foods, like films.
It's factory. It feels like a factory.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, like I said, man, like we said last episode, Disney makes products and WB makes movies. At least they try.
Right.
Because they're the 2 companies that own almost everything now. So,
but it's not a monopoly.
All right, that was episode 30. We're the Film Blurs. I'm Brandon Norwood, and I'm the motherfucking protagonist.
I'm the protagonist.
I'm Jeff Stewart, a.k.a. He Who Remains.
Don't come at us. It's just fucking movies.
You've been listening to the Film Blurs Podcast.
Man, I just love what you guys do, man.
I never miss an episode. It's the best.
It's my favorite podcast.
Follow Jeff on IG on MindFireXL and Brandon on Twitter at BJN Tweets.